Hello and welcome everyone. We are in Cologne at Gamescom 2019. My name is Nims and today Nintendo presents a more in-depth look at The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. Now joining us today we have a very special guest from CD Projekt Red. We have Miles Toast joining us. Hello Miles, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, it's a pleasure.
Awesome. And from Nintendo of Europe we have Kaveh. Hello Kaveh.
Hi Nims, hello everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Now Kaveh, we're going to be taking a look at this game in handheld mode.
That is correct, Nim. So thanks to a little bit of Nintendo magic, we're able to show you what the game looks like in handheld mode.
Amazing.
So our viewers out there will see within a Switch frame, basically a one-to-one representation of what the game is like in handheld mode. Meaning that for users out there that may be watching in full HD, what they will see within the Switch frame will be a one-to-one representation of what it's like to play this game on the go.
Right, which is it's a big thing. I'm excited about that. So, Miles, for the viewers who are watching at home, could you give us a introduction to The Witcher 3, and tell us a little bit about maybe the storyline and things to do with this chapter?
Yes, so The Witcher 3 is a narrative-driven action RPG set in a medieval fantasy world, and players take over the role of a character called Geralt of Rivia, and Geralt of Rivia is a witcher, a kind of, how would you say, like a monster hunter, a professional monster hunter.
Ah, okay.
Who, other than just hunting monsters, he's actually uniquely equipped for this, because being a witcher means that you have undergone a certain set of mutations that give you superhuman abilities, reflexes and strength.
Okay.
Making him uniquely qualified to go through the job of being a monster hunter. And Geralt has sort of taken on the ultimate contract, which is to find the child of prophecy.
Oh, well, I'm sold. Let's go.
So yeah, let's go. Let's start. You may have noticed there was a marker that was displayed about the guarded treasure. That's going to be in this area here, but it seems to be protected by a wyvern, so I'm going to go take care of that. And as you may have seen just now, Geralt automatically wielded a sword there, and I believe this is a silver sword, and you can have multiple swords in this game.
Exactly. Witchers usually use two kinds of swords. They use a steel sword for beasts and men, and then they use a silver sword for magical creatures and apparitions. And we can actually see this here with the silver HP bar, that this beast has, that, the silver sword is indeed the right choice. But Geralt will make that choice for us, so we don't really need to worry about which sword we're using.
And I've also just used the Witcher sign there. So Witcher sign are spells, right, that you can use as well in combat.
Yes. As a Witcher, Geralt is able to sort of utilize a basic form of magic, and this basic form of magic allows him to cast so-called signs, and we just saw here the Igni sign, which allows you to cast this fiery blast. We have the protective Quen sign, for example, that casts a shield around you, or one of my favorites is actually the Erden sign, which generates a trap on the ground that if monsters run into, they'll be temporarily stunned.
Right.
Here we go. Now that we've taken care of this ribbon, we can just find this guarded treasure. So one thing you can do is use Witcher senses, which allow you to highlight kind of interactive elements of the environment. And here this helps us unveil this guarded treasure that we were looking for here.
Nice.
This is just one example of what you can find when you're exploring through the world. I'm gonna go for a small walk here and see if I can find something else in this area.
I mean, just looking at this particular view right now, it looks absolutely huge. So a small walk is an interesting choice there, Kaveh.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten the best of weather nowadays here, but again, that's such as the price of having a dynamic weather system, right, to which the world also reacts.
Right.
Which is really cool, and it actually makes a difference whether we're fighting in the rain or in the sunshine for certain types of monsters.
Right. Could you tell us a little bit about these monsters we've got here, Miles?
Yeah, these are rot fiends, and as you can see, as they're defeated, they blow up and explode, which, is a good thing to know. So Geralt knows, or you as a player know, that you need to move away from them to prevent any damage, right? And it's an important skill as a professional monster hunter to know what you're dealing with. And we even offer what we call the bestiary, right, where players actually, throughout the journey and throughout their contact with different monsters, can gather and collect the knowledge that they have much also like on these devourers that just
wow.
popped up. And whoa, as I said, it's really important to learn sort of the strengths and weaknesses of any kind of monster, as you see here, to be able to react to them and come in well prepared.
Right. So yeah, thank you very much for this introduction to the multiple things you can do here. I'm gonna have a quick look now at the inventory to just showcase all these different things that you can equip yourself with. I tried using the crossbow earlier with not much success, I have to admit. But you can also like use potions and bombs as well to do a lot of damage or to destroy the monster nest, as I just did on screen. But one thing I would like to have a closer look at is the character tab, Miles.
Yes.
Can you talk a bit about what this character tab is about?
Absolutely. So here's basically where you spend your talent points, ability points to customize how you can play Geralt, right? If you're really into sword fighting, then you can branch into the combat tree, which focuses down on that and makes Geralt sort of this almost, you know, dancing sword fighter, at the very powerful melee combatant. Whereas if you are more into magic, for example, you can invest into the science tree that dramatically enhances your magical abilities. For example, the Igni sign can be improved to create a 360-degree fiery burst around you, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And then last but not least, Witchers are pretty crafty people, so they engage into a lot of alchemy, brewing potions which can help them against certain monster types. Again, that ties into knowing what kind of beast you're dealing with, right? The right medicine for the right sickness, if you will, right? And also you can craft bombs, right? And these can be useful, for example, when fighting vampires. A vampire might need a silver bomb, because they have the tendency to turn invisible, and with a silver shrapnel bomb, you can defeat this ability and render them visible, and make them a much easier foe to defeat. And of course, all these talents that you can invest, you can then modify using these mutagens, which you get from slaying monsters. So you can see here how slaying monsters directly improves your ability to slay monsters. And matching the specific color of the mutagen to the talents that you've chosen, in this case we see a very general build, right? You're not you're not meant to, or not meant to, but you're not necessarily bound to having to invest into a specific skill, but you can create a hybrid to suit your own tastes, really, right? And these mutagens improve those abilities when you match them properly.
There you go. And as you can see here on the screen, I have indeed created a well-rounded character. So I've invested in multiple different skills and all assigned them to me so that I have a bit of extra attack power, but also a bit of extra sign power, and develop my signs a bit further. All right, so now I'm just going to call Roach, our dear friend.
Our trusty steed.
Here he comes.
Yeah, but customization like this is really important to us when we create RPG experiences, right? You'll want to be able to, you know, use the equipment that you want to use to upgrade your character and have this sense of progression of becoming stronger and better. And you can do this by, you know, with the tools that you craft, by improving the tools that you have, or acquiring new armor and swords.
So calling Roach, sorry, is great, but having somewhere to go is even better. So I'm just gonna have a quick look at the world map here.
Nothing wrong with just galloping around that amazing scenery. I would do that.
And here we can basically see the map of Novigrad and No Man's Land.
Exactly. So these are two of our hub worlds, essentially. Huge connected areas that the player in by itself will be able to explore freely without any loading screens actually interrupting your experience.
And I will set a marker here in Novigrad. That will be my goal now. But before I go there, I want to show the world map, because this is just a part of it,
wow.
right?
Exactly.
So in addition to these regions, you have a lot more regions that you can explore, including the Duchy of Toussaint.
Yes.
Which was added later on, right?
Exactly. It's the big sort of extra region we added as part of our second expansion, Blood and Wine. And players of the complete edition will have free access to that, you know, because that's why it's the complete edition. It has all the content we've ever released for the game on one cartridge.
All right. That said, I will now make my way to Novigrad.
Yeah, and we can see here that, as I said, you know, you're able to move through this world completely freely. There's no loading screens unless you choose to fast travel between places and the continent, right? But other than that, you can, we see the big city there in the distance, and we'll just be able to approach this just like that. Even entering interiors like these houses that we see in front of us, all that happens without any loading screens.
Wow.
And that makes the whole experience very seamless, right? You see also a huge amount of NPCs being rendered here, really allowing this sort of place to come to life. And it's really important for us to create an immersive environment and an immersive world that you really can get lost in.
Okay. So this particular area we're about to enter into, Miles, could you tell us a little bit about it in terms of maybe the inspiration behind the design?
Yes, absolutely. So the city we're approaching is the biggest city in our game. It's called Novigrad. And you can sort of think about it as sort of medieval Amsterdam in a way, right? It's actually also quite a bit inspired by that, it being a medieval trades town with a harbor. And that's sort of important for us how we think about these places that we create, right? We try to root them in like logical ways, like how would this city, why does it exist here? It has a harbor, so it's rich for trade, that's what makes it have its place in the world. And Geralt himself, he will sort of dive deep into this city as part of also the main story, but it's also a place where you can pick up many side quests, many side activities, talk to different characters, buy new gear at vendors. So it's really a rich place that offers a lot of different things for the player to do.
So I believe, Kaveh, we are heading to the marker that you set on the map. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah, that is correct. And here, we can see a lot of townsfolk. There's also a merchant, as you can see there. He's also indicated on the mini-map with various icons showing them. I just wanted to take a moment to go talk to him because he seems to be a Gwent aficionado. Aficionado. I'm not
Aficionado.
That's the one.
He likes Gwent. And this is sort of this ongoing quest, right, in the game where you can play cards, basically.
Yes, it's a more light-hearted side activity that Geralt also likes to dabble in, a kind of card game that people in this world play all across the world, essentially, independent of where you are. And yeah, Geralt will be able to find lots of good challenges and also gain some cool rewards, complete decks, and even there you'll be able to sort of choose your favorite deck, the one that suits your playstyle.
Wow.
And engage in this quite crafty side experience.
And here we have Nidas.
Okay.
I will talk to Nidas.
Right.
Hear about the notice by chance?
Not exactly. What
Not
is it
quite.
about?
What's it about? I hear, right, you're going on some voyage, need a companion. Not just some voyage. Cross the sea. Mark this. When I got pressed into the infantry in 1242, I promised my beloved Let I'd return alive, whole, and with a pearl from Skellige. Not just any
It's a big
pearl,
promise.
either.
A pearl.
Black one. The rarest and
Not
most
just
precious.
any pearl either.
Well, ambitious. Perhaps. But they were empty words. I came from the war, that one and the next, but I never fulfilled my promise. High time to change that. Or if not now, then when? Thing is, I've grown old in the meantime, as you see. Can't manage it alone, need a strong shoulder to lean on. Witcher's shoulders as strong as they come. So, what do you say?
What do you say, Kaveh?
Doesn't sound like a good deal, but
It's crazy.
I'll help
Why
this
not?
guy.
But there's an irresistible charm
Geralt
to
seems
it.
to agree.
And I'll help you out. Don't you fret about coin. I brought home a good deal of it from various fronts. Say we meet in Skellige, by the collapsed bridge near Arenbjorn. It's but a hop away from the bed where black pearls are born. Will that work for you? Sounds fine. See you there.
All right. We've committed. So I'm gonna commit further by setting this quest as my next objective here.
So, Miles, could you tell us a little bit about what we was just seeing there in terms of there's different quests you can set and different types of quests, and Kaveh just set that one as his quest that he's going to focus on right now. Can you build upon that and do different types of quests as well?
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, we at CD Projekt Red, we pride ourselves on being storytellers. For us, the story is sort of the central thing that drives everything we do when we make our games. And as such, Witcher 3 features what I hope to be an immersive and gripping main story, and of course also a huge variety of different side quests. But the cool thing that we try to do with many of these side quests is of course some of them are sort of independent, but many of them are actually tied into the main story in one way or another. And you'll actually have this where sometimes you won't actually be able to tell where the main story ends, where a side quest begins, because the side story you chose might have been spawned or because of your experiences in the main quest, and likewise the side quest might actually affect the outcome of your main story. So Witcher 3 has many different possible endings that really depend on the choices that you make throughout the main story. And we always like to say, your choices, your consequences. What you choose to do, you'll have to live with.
I noticed the cover. You were looking at a notice board as well. Is that where you can pick up some quests as well, Miles? Or
Yes, you know, if you're not really being approached by good old Nidas over there, you might find some work looking at one of the many notice boards that you'll find all across the world in many different villages, and they actually grant a lot of awesome background lore as well to the world, but, you know, lots of work for a Witcher to do.
All right. I was just taking a look at that map there again. That map it's huge. I'm just completely blown away. Miles, could you tell us how did you and your team manage to get such a gigantic game on the Nintendo Switch?
It's actually quite impressive to me as well itself, right? Having originally worked on the game and seeing it now work on the Switch. And we had a little bit of help here actually by our friends over at Saber Interactive. And they, at some point, they proposed to us, or they actually showcased us like, hey, look what we did. We can actually do it. And then when we saw it was possible, we basically immediately jumped for it, because the idea of having players, you know, actually enjoy the game wherever they are is very appealing to us. Again, experiencing the stories we want to tell, right? No matter where you are.
Oh, bit of rain here.
Okay.
So yeah, as you can see on the screen, Skellige looks quite different from where we just were.
Could you tell us a little bit about this particular area, Miles? As Kave just said, it looks a lot different from where we just were.
Yes, so Skellige is very different from Novigrad No Man's Land in that Novigrad No Man's Land has a lot of inspiration from a sort of Slavic, Middle Eastern, sort of Eastern European is the proper term, sort of culture and also mythology when it comes to the monsters. But here in Skellige, we're facing sort of a heavily inspired area by the Vikings and Norse mythology, right? So you'll see this actually in the architecture, in the vegetation, the way people talk. People, depending on the region you are in, actually have a different dialect as well that you'll be able to hear and sort of identify them as, you know, that's a Skellige, that's a guy from Novigrad. And that's actually really fascinating. Again, we're trying to create the most believable worlds that we can, and part of that is even, you know, extending that to our voice acting.
Kave, very brave, sailing in the rain.
Yes, in a storm.
Yeah.
Raindrops actually on the...
That is very cool.
It's very cool, yeah. The water physics in general are very impressive, I have to say.
It looks fantastic. It's a pity that we, you know, didn't get the best of weathers, but it's part of having a fully dynamic, not only day and night cycle, but also weather system. That, as I said earlier, that actually affects how monsters behave, and, you know, it might not be the best idea to go out hunting for monsters on a rainy day when those monsters might be, you know, affiliated with water elements.
Right. I like what you did there. Didn't give away too much for the players.
Exactly.
Kept the element of surprise in there. I like that.
So yeah, here I'm just making my way to the marker we can... Whoops, sorry about that. You can see on the mini-map. To hopefully find our dear friend Nidas again.
And it's cool that, you know, we offer the players also a lot of different ways to traverse this huge open world. As you can see here, we have a boat, so water is no limit to Geralt in that sense, right? We have Roach, of course, the horse, or you can just engage on travel by foot. And if all that is too much for you, and if you want to make the level designer's heart bleed a bit, you just fast travel, right? So it's all up to you and how you want to spend time in the game.
I assure you I won't be doing that.
I hope.
Good you're here. So, what'll it be? Will you help old Nidus find a black pearl for his wife? I'd like it done already. Humidity's unkind to my bones. They've started creaking.
Let's go.
Let's go. But get ready for
I mean, I've come this far.
Find pearls where it's dry.
True. But I survived worse during the war. At Rosrock, we fought waist deep in the swamp and... wasted my breath. History don't mean a whit to youngsters. Come on, Pearl Grounds out far now.
Okay.
Did he just call us a youngster?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess everything's relative, yeah.
something worth pointing out is actually the way this guy deals with or treats Geralt, right? It's not necessarily a given in this world that Geralt gets treated nicely and with a sort of level of respect that this guy is treating us with, because Witchers in this world are mostly actually feared because they are superhuman, right? They're not really considered as human, and people are oftentimes actually afraid of them.
This is the place. They say dive down here and you'll see the oyster beds all around. Problem is, not all hold pearls. The black ones are a real rarity. But search long enough and you're sure to find one.
You're telling me now?
So I'm supposed to do the diving.
Well, you see, I've been in the infantry all my life, so I'm not one for water. And my lungs ain't what they used to be, so...
Probably not the best deal Geralt has done this one.
Always right.
But hey, at least it will pay
Work
eventually.
is work, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So here we go in the water. And yeah, again, I find the swimming as well incredibly impressive with the water physics.
The water does look very, very cool.
And that's yet another way you can traverse the world, right? Swimming and diving.
So as we're about to get, hopefully, a black pearl, any advice for Cave Mouse?
Don't stay too long underwater.
Yeah?
You don't seem to have
That's-
brewed the appropriate potion for it.
Ah,
Which
yeah,
is something that you
true.
can actually do. You know, you can craft potions, of course, to enhance your monster slaying abilities, but also there is a potion, for example, that enhances your ability to breathe underwater, and crafting that might be useful if you plan on going for a bit of an extended swim or dive, right?
Oh wow, I think we've got a visitor here, Cave.
Yes, there are some sirens that are making everything more difficult.
Oh my gosh.
And I think in order to not lose all my breath, I will need to go back up.
Yeah, maybe if you try the crossbow, you might be able to hit it.
Ah, true that. But I think breath will be my priority
breath,
here.
breath.
Made it.
Nice.
All right, let's go for one more dive.
Yeah.
Where are you, Siren?
You can
No.
actually lock onto the target if you press one of the analog sticks, if I remember correctly.
There you are.
Hey, I got it.
Nice.
Nice. And now it drifts.
Lucky shot there.
That, but it's the one that counts.
All right.
Where are you, Black Pearl?
So yeah, here I'm also using the Witcher senses to highlight the different elements you can interact with. Hoopla. Didn't do that one. This
Oh,
one,
almost.
not black. Another one here,
Come on.
not black.
Hey, grab some air,
And
grab
breath
some air.
problem.
Go, go, go.
All right.
That would be a tragic end for Geralt of Rivia if he just drowned hunting for some pearls.
There we go.
Nice.
All right. I think I will leave it at that anyway, because we don't want to spoil the rest of the
Yeah.
quest also for the viewers that are watching. Just gonna swim back to the shore.
Why not? All right, as Cave swims back to the shore, Miles, are there any closing remarks you'd like to leave for the viewers who are watching at home?
Yes, actually two things. So you've seen that Geralt is a pretty well-established character in this world. Some people know him, right? They know witches in general. And this is, of course, because there's been a couple of games before this, and Geralt is an established character. However, I don't want this to be a deterrent for people who haven't played the previous games. Really, we made this game with all these new players in mind, and it's something that you can jump right into and enjoy, much like, you know, or enjoy much without even any previous knowledge of the games. However, if you have played the previous games, you'll find like little Easter eggs and hints and winks to previous characters. But really, we made it so that, you know, you'll be able to find your way around and not feel out of place, simply diving in without any prior knowledge. The second thing is that, again, what we're launching here soon is our complete edition of Witcher 3, which means that it features all of the content that we've ever released for Witcher 3 on one cartridge. For this, we actually opted to go for the 32 gigabyte cartridge, so players have the full experience once they plug it into their Switch and are ready to go and explore this huge open world.
I'm sold. Like, I cannot wait for this game to come out. It's from what I've seen so far, which is a snippet of how huge this game is. It looks incredible, and the aesthetic of it is beautiful. So thank you so much, Miles, for joining us today, and Kaveh, thank you so much for your gameplay. Now, I believe you do have a special announcement for us for the release date of this title.
Yes, I wasn't kidding when I was saying soon, because it's actually very soon, and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition launches on Nintendo Switch on October 15th this year.
Wow, that's not very far at all.
It's very soon indeed.
Very soon indeed. So once again, thank you so much, Miles, for joining us. Kaveh, thank you so much for your gameplay.
My
And for
pleasure.
everybody watching at home, this was The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all very soon. See ya!
Bye.